Howdy, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello. How's it going? Welcome back. Thank you very much for shooting in. Joining a fella here for another one. Another live one, as a matter of fact. New West Reset Live, episode 180. The 180 here today on this Sunday, July the 19th, 2026. Just a wee bit past 5 p.m. local time, mountain time. As always, coming at you live from the foothills of the Canadian Rocky Mountains here in southwestern Alberta. Calgary, Alberta, up in Canada land, where all the smoke from, we're to blame for all the smoke everywhere in the whole world right now. It's all our fault up here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you folks are staying safe out there. There's a lot of fires going on, man. Almost every province here in Canada now. There's at least a few. Ontario, northwestern Ontario, still the worst. Careful out there. Please be careful. Hope everybody's doing well. Did all your preps and stuff just in case, the power goes out or you got to hunker down or whatever, right? Please be careful. Oddly enough, clear blue skies, beautiful day here in Calgary, Alberta. It's like 26 degrees Celsius, around 80-ish Fahrenheit, a little bit of a breeze. But we've been getting tornadoes. We had like 30 tornadoes touch down in the last couple of days here, man. Kinley Jackson and our buddy Russ L. up there just a little north of me in Purdy, Alberta, and some of them were touching it down up in their neck of the woods. So you doing all right there, KJ? Folks doing okay up there? Man, oh man. It's funny because what was it, a week or two ago? There was floodings and heavy rainstorms and thunder showers, flooding, rivers overflowing, hailstorms. Edmonton just had flooding a couple of days ago, man. And now everything's on fire? How does that happen? Because I don't think it's... I got to tiptoe around this, unfortunately. Be careful what I say in case the Mounties come and kick my door in and haul my ass off to jail for criticizing the government up here in Canada. But, I don't think these are, caused from, the dry leaves and dead fallen timbers up in the woods that get struck by lightning. And, all of a sudden sparks off these fires. I think there's evil afoot. I'm sure many of you, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, but, be that as it may, no matter how these things come into, just seemingly, spawn out of nowhere, vaporize out of the ether, and all of a sudden we're, within 2 days, we're all coughing and spewing and running for our lives. Communities are burning down. People's houses are burning down. So, I mean, it's not normal. That's not normal. Evildoers are doing stuff. So be careful out there. And I hope you, like I said, I hope you had some preps. It's not too late too, if you got to store some food and water away and some candles and batteries and emergency blankets and see that? That was weird. And a couple of specific plans in place for if you got a bug out. Depending on where you live, right? Like here in Calgary, we get a lot of floods in the late spring, right? When it's all the local snow here is melted and it starts raining. But in the mountains, the snow is still melting and feeding all the rivers and creeks and streams that flow in here. So, within a week, we could go from normal or even low levels on our two rivers that converge here in Calgary. It can go from normal to low to all of a sudden up over the banks and flooding in a matter of days. So that's one of the things I prep for here, and forest fires and tornadoes, as mentioned. Imagine if a tornado whipped over an area that was on fire and made some terrorizing fire-nado. My Lord, it would absolutely horrific. Wow, that would be terrible. It'd be like a Roland Emmerich movie. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thanks for winding down your weekend. As I mentioned, I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for being here. Today, we're going to be looking at, for episode 180, Trains in the Sky. We're going to be looking at the New York City elevated rail system. Links below for everything we're going to cover. We're going to have a look at a collection of photos from the DCMNY archives. That's the, I always draw a blank on what that crazy acronym stands for some reason. It always stumps me. The digital culture of metropolitan New York. That's easy for me to say. No, failed miserably. Anyway, thanks for being here and for winding down your weekend on the Sunday Funday show. Woo! Woo! Thank you to everybody who's already shared and subscribed and all of that good stuff. And again, links below for everything we're going to cover, as well as how you can get a hold of a fellow. Email, BitChute, and of course, YouTube, Rumble, and now on the Instagram. Link for my new second channel. Well, it's new. It's not sparkling new. It's newish now. A couple of months now. My new second channel, New West Rewind. Link below for that, as well as for all the vintage footage going up every Saturday over there now. So as mentioned, I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for being here. Who we have here? Kathy Broughton. Let's say howdy, Kathy. How you doing? Good to see you. KJ's here. Kinley Jackson in the box. Hello, hello. There's Ross, Water the Tree, down in Kansas City, Missouri. Jesse's here. Jesse Nix. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Testing. Having some problems here. Can you hear me all right? Let me know, please, in the chat, in the box. Let me know if you can hear me okay. What's happening, a bunch of weirdos? Howdy, Sig. Buddy Sig here as well. Dragon Sage in the box. Howdy. Howdy, Hippie. Hi, Hippie. Thank you very much for being here. Hope you're doing all right. And thanks for sharing all those links and stuff all the time, Hippie. Appreciate that. Baja is here. Hello. Channel 53 is here as well. So yeah, as mentioned, still some crazy weather here with the winds, the tornadoes, and the hailstorms and whatnot. I don't know what's going on with my interwebs, man. It's crazy. SkyTrain, that's right. Good to see you, Russ. How you doing? That's right. We're going to be looking at the SkyTrain. Although not the suspended train from Germany. Can't remember what city that is, but where the train is suspended and swinging under the track as it goes along. It's like an amusement park ride today. I wonder where they got that idea. Not quite as cool as those, but still pretty cool considering it goes back to the 1860s, which surprised me. I didn't think they had the elevated or the L, as New Yorkers call it, back in the 1860s. I thought maybe the 1880s, 1890s. Yeah. So, no, I was pretty impressed. So I think what we'll do is we'll jump in first into a little bit of the official his story of the New York City. Well, it's basically the New York City public transportation system, but it's the L and the subway, and basically all the rapid transit. Got a couple of links here, but I actually have one from newyorkcitysubway.org. This is where they talk about the BMT, which is the Brooklyn Mass Transit. Because, the Manhattan and the Brooklyn and anything, they were all jointed it up. You know what I'm saying? Russ says just a few hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, droughts. No big deal. No. Well, yeah, you folks had a couple of tornadoes close by, touchdown, more than a couple. There in the last week or so. Had a couple close by here too. It's fun. Fantastic. Just got to be careful. You got to prepare for that stuff. You got to be like a Boy Scout. Be prepared. Anyway, let me hook this up again. This is the New York City Subway.org. This is chapter 3, and again, this is the Brooklyn Mass Transit. That's the slash there, chapter 3. So while the IRT had been a pioneer partner in the development of all-steel railway passenger cars through the first decade of electrified rapid transit, and Manhattan and Bronx commuters were enjoying the use of these cars, their counterparts in Brooklyn were still riding wooden trains. It's the wooden passenger cars on the trains. Not that there was no comfort in them. Honestly, the only thing they lacked was technology. However, as the Brooklyn rapid transit system did not have a subway, there was no pressing need to depart from wooden car construction. When the Broadway/Brooklyn elevated line was extended from the Broadway ferry terminal in Brooklyn via the Williamsburg Bridge into Manhattan, there was a run through a subway route. Route, I think. I don't know. What is it? Is it route? Route?
It's hot route. I don't. What is hot route?
You say route up here. So I say it up here, eh? Route. Thank you very much, Sir Rat Bastard over on Rumble says here you fine. Thank you. Good. I know I'm noticing here in the corner of my eye that I think I'm dropping out for a moment. Out, and then coming back. It's great. By the way, I use a pretty fast, pretty powerful desktop computer that's not really old at all. Still fairly current-ish. And I have the best interwebs that you can pay for, and I'm plugged in through the Ethernet directly into my PC tower. But I think the problem is that they Wi-Fi to the building from the pole outside, right? They bombard you with the waves. For some reason, their excuse is that, oh, if it's windy or raining, then, your reception's not going to be all that great. I'm like, what is 1970s television with the rabbit ears? And you got to put some tinfoil on them? Put some tinfoil on the rabbit ears on the TV, on the telly. Or in my case, I would walk up to grab the rabbit ears to adjust them, and then I would act as the antenna. And then my dad would make me stand there and hold the antenna while he watched what he was watching. It was the 1970s. What are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? So in 1914, the 4th Avenue subway in Brooklyn was to open and connect with former elevated system routes to Coney Island and traverse the Manhattan Bridge into Manhattan and connect with a subway route via Broadway and 7th Avenue to 57th Street. See, those of us that are not New Yorkers, we don't know anything about where you're talking about. The Williamsburg Bridge into Manhattan. Sure. Okay. I don't know what that is, man. Anyways, the first steel cars for the Brooklyn mass transit system were to be the most advanced railway passenger vehicle technologically for their time. After the first 100 cars were delivered in 1914, another 400 of identical design were to follow through 1918. They would use some of the features which the IRT pioneered, but incorporate many more advances and, in fact, have more conveniences than the cars delivered 20 years later for the city-owned independent system. So when it was city-owned, they got shafted. It's usually oh, hello. Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Testing. Hello. Oh, this is brutal. I'm sorry. If this keeps up, I'm just going to cut it short because this is terrible, frustrating and terrible. Anyways, they date back to the 1880s, and then they give us a few older pictures here from the teens, 1920. So the doors were electro-pneumatically powered. Kind of interesting. Other innovations were the electro-pneumatic braking system. I was going to say, I mean, how do you have to get more technology in a passenger car, rail car, essentially, or trolley, really? But I guess, yeah, things like brakes, maybe heating from the winter, that sort of thing. I can tell you here locally, there is a wooden one that you can ride up at the Heritage Park. And it's quite nice, actually. Anyway, so links below for that. The steel equipment for the Brooklyn. This is basically they made their transition from the wooden passenger cars to steel ones in the teens, sort of mid-teens. And by 1918, they'd almost completely transitioned. Let's have a little bit at the, go back a little further, see if we can get a little closer to the time frame of the photographs that we've got. Bosses, Frankie shall perform full show. No, you ain't, Frankie. I'll do my best. All right. I'll do my very best. So the history of the BRT, the Brooklyn Rapid Transit, and BMT, Brooklyn Mass Transit. Starting in 1899, the Brooklyn Rapid Transit Company and Brooklyn Manhattan Transit Corporation operated. They operated rapid transit lines in New York City. At first, only elevated railways and later also subways. So you had the streetcar trolley, street level version first. Then they did the L. Then the subway? Doesn't seem right. I thought they did the subway before the L. Now let's find out. Until 1907, these lines were leased to the Brooklyn Heights Railroad, which also operated the Brooklyn Rapid Transit's surface transit lines, which were the old hansom cab kind of ideas, the horse and buggy taxis. In 1907, the lease of the Brooklyn Union Elevated Railroad was canceled, and this company began to operate most of the rapid transit lines. A new company, the New York Consolidated Railroad, was formed in 1912 as the rapid transit operating subsidiary. And that same year, the New York Municipal Railway was formed to enter into contract 4 of the dual contracts with the city, under which the BRT gained subways and elevated extensions. They were already extending stuff in 1912 and the L and the subway. Holy. Plain spoken Jane in the box over on Rumble. Good to see you. Thank you very much. Always good. It's good to have you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to all the lurkers out there. Appreciate you. So 1923, as part of the reorganization of the BRT into the BMT, the two companies were merged to form the New York Rapid Transit Corporation. The Brooklyn and Queens Transit Corporation was similarly formed in 1929 as the surface train. Man, oh man, this is a spider's web, a rat's nest to sort through. Not only do you have all these companies and corporations merging with one another, but along the way in their own individual histories, they've changed their names a couple of times, or have been forced to merge or bought over by somebody else or whatever. Holy moly. Brooklyn Union Elevated Railroad was incorporated on January 30th, 1899, and acquired the property of the bankrupt Brooklyn Elevated Railroad. There we go. It operated from 1885. No, let's have a look at that. It was merged into the Brooklyn controlled by, but that's still, we're going back to 1868 here. It's very strange. I clicked on it and it's, yeah, they just started in 1885. So we'll have to see if there's a wacky page maybe for the New York L system and what their history was. Because so far we're only going back to 1885. Anyways, the first step in simplifying the corporate structure was made in 1900 when the Seaview Railroad, or Brighton Beach Line, was merged into the Kings County Elevated on May 9th, and the Kings County Elevated was then merged into the Brooklyn Union Elevated on May 21st. See? You see what I'm saying? I don't know whether I'm coming or going. They got me all discombobulated.
What the hell is going on around here?
I mean, I know there were certain lines that only would take you, let's say, from, I don't know, Union Station to a certain destination with a few, it would stop at a few stations on the pre-existing track along the way, right? And they would lease portions of the track from whoever owned the track. But then, you know, parts of their line would be their own track as well that they would lay themselves. But a lot of this, of course, I think is just trying to explain away the sudden reemergence of these rail systems, whether they be steam locomotive cargo systems or unit steam and then later electric powered, municipal railways, streetcar trolleys and trams, or interurban systems, passenger trains. Basically, the trolley that goes from one town to another and back again. I think it's a way for explaining away in the official narrative, if you can hear me. Hello, testing. The discovery of a lot of pre-reset or pre-cataclysm, most recent cataclysm, where they're uncovering all of these past infrastructure and then having to reverse engineer the technology that operated this infrastructure and perhaps not able to do so initially, like with these trolley and tram systems, the streetcars. We see them being pulled by horse, and it's the exact same cars that later are electric powered and running on the same tracks. When horse-drawn bus-type carriages were already being pulled around, they were called omnibuses. It was basically a stretched limo version of a stagecoach. Those didn't even operate on tracks, and those were horse-drawn buses, basically, before there was such thing as petrol or fuel or gas or diesel buses, right? Or even trolley buses, the electric buses. We see even the smallest of towns with streets in their downtown, at least, built wide enough almost if they were anticipating vehicular traffic, as well as a trolley line that eventually did come in the teens or 20s. Anyways, at the same time, the lease of the ground level Carnegie Railroad, which was run as part of the elevated system, was transferred to the Brooklyn Union Elevated. Transferred by who? And I don't know whose authority. You know what I'm saying? Like the Sea Beach Railway and South Brooklyn Railway, the Culver Line, which had been operated by the Brooklyn Heights as part of its elevated system, were released for independent operation. Yeah, no, those that were independent then either got swallowed up or went belly up because they couldn't survive against the bigger systems that were all now merged into this giant, octopus of the public transportation system. Because they had all these separate lines that some of them would just go to, like as mentioned, just to maybe to a specific destination, and that's it, and back, like Brighton Beach or Coney Island or some of the other parks, and then each borough, or it seems here at least Manhattan and Brooklyn, had their own separate municipalities and therefore their own separate municipal public railway systems. So, completely different companies with completely different lines, supposedly. But more than likely, these are all just, railroad robber barons. But instead of it being the big steam-powered electric, cargo trains, the transcontinental railways, the big choo-choos, these are the city and town trolley and streetcar systems. And again, that also form up an interurban system, a network of systems. Fifth Avenue line, Fulton Street line. These are just the elevated, by the way, in Brooklyn. And then you get into the 20s to 1940. But I'm trying to get to The file of photographs that I have does go to 1940, but it starts in 1868, I believe. Yeah, I want to try to figure out just on the fly here. I'm going to check the Wikipedia's page and just see here, like, I don't know, NYC public rail transit history. Let's see what. What you doing there? Wow. The Wikipedia doesn't even want to load. You gotta be kidding me. All right, here we go. New York City Transit Authority. Let's see what that says. Subway, Staten Island Railway, Staten Island Rapid Transit. History. Yeah, this is going to take me all over the place. That is going to take forever. Why so? See, that's the problem, right? And I think a lot of times it's the sort of thing they're banking on, is that because all of these companies merged and some went belly up and some were taken over by others and changed names and were, all of this stuff going on. Supposedly since the 1860s, the late 1860s. And when you try to dig around and poke around, the waters become very muddy very quickly. Let me just do a basic search engine search here. NYC elevated rail history. Here we go. Let's see what the Library of Congress has to say. Everybody get your grain of salt. We're going to go and visit the Library of Congress. This is Library of Congress blogs, blogs.loc.gov. On a recent trip to who cares? Yada, yada, I don't give a crap. All right. The story of New York's modern subway system actually doesn't begin underground at all. In fact, quite the opposite. Public transportation had existed in the city in the form of horse-drawn, there it is, horse-drawn coaches since the 1820s. I think they mean the omnibuses, though, not the actual on the train tracks or on the rail horse-drawn. And the latter half of the century brought it with it elevated trains. In 1878, the first truly reliable elevated train line known as the L opened, carrying passengers along the Greenwich Street and 9th Avenue from Lower Manhattan, up to Harlem. Say, man, this is Harlem. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm just playing. Elevated railways quickly became the dominant form of public transportation, but they were not perfect. Major blizzard in 1888 paralyzed the above-ground transportation in New York, helped build support for an underground transit system. Several years later, in 1900, construction began on a subterranean train line, and in just 4 years, New York's first official subway line had been completed. Wow, it only took 4 years, eh? Whew. Not too bad. Founded in 1896 to consolidate and run railway lines in the boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens had their own too. The Brooklyn Rapid Transit Company entered the picture in 1915. All right, so we still only have the earliest date of 1878, but we have photos from 1868 or so. Sig's going to be chiming in a lot. He's a local. Good on you, Sid. He says you can get some of the best street food anywhere near a subway or train stop. Yeah, that's true. Get a gyro, or as we call them up here, donair. You get all kinds of stuff. Some of you got to be careful because later on, doo-doo running all down your leg. Just saying. Anyways, no, we got to go back to. So it's New York. So should I be typing in Manhattan elevated? Because there is a difference, I'm guessing. Again, you'll have to pardon my Canadian naivete. I know New York City's made up, I think, of the 5 boroughs, right? You got Manhattan, and then you go, yo, what's up, Brooklyn? Brooklyn in the house. Then you got the Staten Island over here, right? Then you got the Bronx. Then you go, yo, it's Harlem, what's up, right? Then you got some of the other stuff too, but, generally speaking, son, here we go, 1868, the first successful elevated line, the 9th Avenue L. Opened as a cable-drawn system on Greenwich Street. Okay. Manhattan, yeah, so it was Manhattan. So NYC, using New York, son. Using New York was a little bit too vague. You had to do the Manhattan. See what I'm saying? Mystery meat. Street meat, mystery meat. That's part of the fun. It's the guessing game. Hello. Yeah, they have to Harlem real bad. And the Bronx. Definitely. Ciao, Roberto. Buonasera. Yeah, sorry, I keep popping in and out of this thing. It's the weather. It's the tornadoes and the storms and the wind. And probably the fires is affecting all of it. Who knows? Smoke from the fires. That's what I'm ready for. I'm ready for the floods. Flood's done. That's done. If we were gonna have a flood, we would have had it by now. We would have had it in June or maybe super early July. But no, flood's not an issue now. I don't think. Now it's fire, tornado. That's my 2 bugaboos here right now for me here for good old Frankie. But the wacky weather is definitely affecting the interwebs. So my apologies. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're having fires, man. We really are having fires. It's they're going to tell you that it's natural. It's Mother Nature, that it happens all the time. It's been happening for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Yes, there are cycles in our realm that appear to repeat themselves, where we go through wet spells and dry spells, and during the dry spells, yes, a lightning strike could potentially set dry tinder on fire. Some kind of electrical discharge with the right fuel, like really, really dry leaves and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. And then if it's up in the boreal forest, it's a lot of pine trees or needle trees like spruce, pine, that sort of thing. And the oils in those needles are highly flammable. It's like gasoline or petrol, right? So yeah, we actually are having. There's fires in British Columbia. There's a couple of fires that have sparked up in Alberta now, Northwest Territories, and up in the Yukon. Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario's the worst right now. But I've seen also recently some have sparked up in Quebec, Labrador, Newfoundland, right? And Nova Scotia. There are also fires that have started through communication through some of our friends here in the channel, like Pacific Northwest there. our buddy Pacific Northwest uncovered. So you have Washington State, Oregon, Idaho. And coming up into Canada here, from what I understand. So that's ironic. But from what I understand, there's also some wildfires over in the UK. Yeah, we all get fires. Fires for you and fires for you. Fires for everyone. Yeah, no, it's not a result of climate change. It's a lot of these, I believe, are, shadowy figures are deliberately setting these and also causing scenarios and situations for it to become easier for these fires to go out of control. One of my neighbors is a retired firefighter. He was one of those guys that would actually parachute into the woods, into the forest to put out the forest fires. And he was saying in the last decade or so, the fires are different now than when he was still a smoke jumper. He says now they get too large and too out of control way too quickly for them to seem to be just a naturally occurring fire. It's not so much that Dragon Sage and I were talking about this the other night too, and he knows a guy who was saying something similar, but also not so much. It's not that there's more fires; there's roughly the same amount of fires, but they get larger and out of control much more quickly. Again, I got to tiptoe around what I say. I apologize. It's it's Canada land. We got to be careful, unfortunately. At least on the HooTubes. Rumble, it's fine. You can say whatever on the Rumble. But anyway, so yeah, gotta be careful down there and be prepared. And don't make fun of your neighbor because, communities are burning to the ground. Rage bait Canadians on online. That's not cool, man. Mind you, I took the bait because I figured somebody's got to take the bait because, when you're a Canadian, right, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Are the powers who should not be that have brought this once great country to where it is now, right? They've turned us into a bunch of, not us meaning me and like-minded people, but a lot of Canadians now are just goofs. They're just goofs. Bunch of lefty, kooky goofs. And it's turned us into a laughing stock in the world stage. We used to be exalted as a country, held up as an example. We used to be tough and brave and strong, the true north, strong and free. A nation of fishermen and lumberjacks, farmers and ranchers, roughnecks and cowboys. Hello. Hello. I'm going to leave the camera off here and see if that helps for the next little bit. We're well educated, high trust society, polite, considerate, kind. But the problem is those nice, warm and fuzzy parts of us as Canadians was easy to take advantage of. And, our kindness was taken advantage of. And we've become a laughingstock. And Canada has become a punching bag on the world stage. And it's okay to make fun of Canadians and to goof around, make jokes. And I know it's, a select few rage baiters online. Like I said, we are mocked for just rolling over these days and taking it and not standing up and fighting. But then when somebody like me does stand up and say, hey, maybe you shouldn't be saying that shit online about Canadians, griping about your air quality and how it's giving you a scratchy throat down there in Wisconsin or Michigan or Illinois, when meanwhile communities up here are being burned to the ground. And then when I stand up and say something, people say, oh, well, Frankie, you're just taking the bait. Well, somebody's got to. Somebody's going to remind people that for the last decade, Canadian firefighters have been putting out fires in California every year, sending teams, multiple teams from British Columbia, Alberta, Quebec, Manitoba, with those super scooper planes that scoop water up from lakes in the ocean and drop it down on the inaccessible areas in California. But no matter what you think about how those fires were started or what the end game was for those fires, the fact remains that there were fires. Hell, even just last week, a Canadian firefighter died putting out fires in Colorado. But you go online and you see, not all, but some Americans saying, hey, Canada, get your shit together. The air is smoky and the sun looks blocked out and all orange. Oh, sorry, the air quality's so bad. What about life quality or the lack thereof if your house is burned down or your community has been destroyed by fire? And again, I know that it's only a handful of kooks on the interwebs that are rage baiting. But as a Canadian, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you don't stand up and say anything, then, oh, you guys are a bunch of pussies up there and you're just going to roll over and take it. But then when you do stand up and say something about it, then it's like, oh, you're taking the bait. You took the rage baiter's bait. So it's a lose-lose. So if I'm going to, lose either way, then, I'm going to say something. And I know it's not all Americans. Again, it's just a small minority, and I know that not a lot of them is IRL. It's online, so you get trolls and shitlords. I get it, but just sometimes you need to remind people. It wasn't that long ago. $10,000 people got about 1 hour's notice that we're going to have 7,000 people because the towers fell. So we got to reroute and divert air traffic. You're going to get like 7,000 or 8,000 people, like 300 planes landing here. Why here? Because they have the big, massive, long runways for the big Hercules airplanes for the Canadian military. The only runways in that short of a time frame, close enough distance with planes running out of fuel where they could safely land and evacuate the airplanes. And in a Canadian town of about 10,000 people, they clothed, housed, and fed and provided medicine and shelter for complete strangers on very little notice. It would have been easy for Canada to say, hey, America, get your shit together. Your planes not being rerouted and those buildings falling down. It's ruining my summer, man. Come on, bud. Get your shit together. But no, we didn't say get your shit together. We said, oh, our neighbors need some help there, eh? Let's help them out. No. We didn't shame you guys. We didn't blame it on you. We sucked it up, Buttercup. We sucked it up. And that's something that's missing in our culture right now is shaming, publicly shaming people. And I know it's not my American friends that are here in the chat and the live stream in the box right now. I know I'm preaching the choir to you folks. It's just a general statement. I know, I'm not talking to you. I've been receiving well wishes behind the scenes, emails and texts and messages on Insta and so on. Are you all right? Is everything going okay up there? From my American neighbors. So Just a general statement that, sometimes public shaming needs to be brought back, and the mirror needs to be held in front of some people. So who knows? It's funny because a lot of there's fires in Wisconsin and Illinois, and people in those states are bitching that it's Canadian smoke, but they don't even know that their own state has got wildfires. Again, no matter what you think about how they were started, I think they were nefariously started. I don't think it's the average John and Joan Q public who's an American or Canadian aren't to blame. It's not like we're running out setting fires when we're out camping. That just doesn't happen. Problem is Canada is so bloody big that managing the boreal forest is it's next to impossible. Like the Canadian population lives in that yellow area. The rest is like basically like 90% of Canada, 80 to 90% of Canada is not inhabited by anybody. Inuit or Eskimo, Native Canadians, Indigenous First Nations peoples, Métis, European descendant, immigrants, nothing, nobody, nothing but wolves, bears, mooses, and, cobra chickens. Some places you can't even get there on foot. But Sasquatch can't even get in there, man. A lot of times, the only way you can get in there is helicopter. Canada is about 5% larger than the United States, but we only have 10% of your population. We have about 40 million. You guys have over 400 million. That's a lot of garden hoses for us to be hosing stuff down. So maybe instead of busting our balls online, you can, show a little bit of compassion. Because you know what, next year it's going to happen again. These fools are going to these evildoers are going to keep setting these fires. And it's all part of the whole, again, the climate change agenda. But also with, all of the poking and making fun of, between neighboring nations, US and Canada. Oh, 51st state. Oh, thanks for the smoke, Canada. You ruined my summer. All that shit. When it boils right down to it, it's still these is offshoots of the part of the big plan, to pit, these people versus those. We'll divide you people over there. We'll divide you people over there. Then we'll get something to get you guys riled up and unleash you at each other. That's all by design. At the end of the day, we just got to look out for each other, look out for ourselves, and look out for each other. You see what's happening there? They're not letting me say shit. They're not letting me say shit. A damn thing. It's a shame. The once great True North, strong and free. Good to see you, Brad. Bradley Johnson in the box. Odin's Raven is here as well. I saw Tommy Rogers sneak in there. Good to see you. Cheers. How you doing? Ryan is here, and Chassis Nick's in the box, as well as our buddy Baja. Good to see you. Apocalypse Pat. Hello. Good to see you, bud. Kathy Broughton is here. Quay Top. Ice roads are fun too. Yeah. Not really. Good to see you, Neetap. I hope you're doing well there. Again, if you're in one of these affected areas, I hope that you're doing well, you're safe, your loved ones are with you. Good to see you, Roberto. Ciao. Good to see you, Ross. Sig is our local there in New York. And again, no shade to New York. So I love New York. I love my American neighbors. I really do. I know deep down you're good people. And again, it's just a few shitlords and cranks on the interwebs. But somebody's got to say something, man. So, then I started rage baiting a lot of these people back that were posting stuff they were very obviously trying to rage bait. So I would just rage bait them back. Started just commenting, "Suffer, America! Suffer, bitch! Oh, yeah, suffer, America!" They didn't like that. Then they started like showing photos of, when the US beat Canada in the Olympic hockey there. What was that, like months ago? Trying to get me to seethe on that. They're, but it's just cope maxing. They're just coping. It's just a big heavy cope. Way to cope, Max. So I ended up taking their rage baiting and I turned it on them and had them just seething and grinding online. So that was a lot of fun. That was pretty fun yesterday morning. Yeah, exactly. Blame Canada. Yeah, like I said, man, we've become the punching bag on the world stage. That's totally fine to make fun of Canada. Anyway, what do you say we take a mid-show break and I cool it down, cool my engines here a little bit, and we get back on track. I'm sorry about that. I said I had to say it. Now that I've said it, that's it. It's fine. We can move on. Got it off my chest there, bud. Whew, I'm fine. It's going to take like 6 shots of maple syrup, and then we'll come back and we'll have a look at the old video or photograph file. So, see, I gotta simmer it down, eh? Take some nice, slow, deep breaths there, bud. As mentioned, I'm going to take a mid-show break. When we come back, we'll have a look at the file of photographs that I've got. That's what we're talking about from the online archives, from the digital culture of Metropolitan New York website. Link for that below. That's the DCMNY.org that you see down there in the box below. That takes you to their search, and then you can filter down what you want to search for. And it's they have massive archives there. I'm back. Yeah. Anyways, I keep going back to it because there's a lot of great stuff on there. So I encourage you to check it out. All right. Before things get too out of control, let me just take a quick mid-show break. When I come back, we'll have a look at that. What have I got here queued up? This is New York, of course. This video is it's short but sweet. This is the New York L from 1899. Like I said, it's short but sweet. 2.5 minutes. So stick around. Be right back. Cheers. All right, and we are back. Welcome back. Frankie here, New West Reset. Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here for another one, another live one. New West Reset Live, episode 180. Here today on this live show. Whoa, wait, whoa, slow down there, bud. Take her easy now. Sunday, July the 19th. It's July 19th already. Wow. Almost into August. Can you believe it? Just a wee bit past 6 p.m. local time, mountain time, 6 p.m. Still kind of a hot day here today. Got a bit of a breeze. Shout out to everyone out there who's suffering with the heat, the explosive diarrhea, lettuce. That's another thing too, right? The ticks. Don't forget about them ticks now. And of course, the smokes of fires and the tornadoes. Wow. And the hail? Yeah, and the hail too. Be careful out there, people. Well, all my best to you now. I hope you got your preps in order and you're ready to either hunker down or get out of Dodge, whatever the case may be. Thank you for being here. If you haven't already, please do all the things to help a fella out here on the live show. If you've already shared and subscribed, appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. If you're watching this after the live, really appreciate you as well. Thank you very much there, bud. What'd you think of that, eh? That was pretty nice old footage from 1899 Victorian era. That's going way back. Yeah, that's right. Plain spoken Jane over on Rumble. Goose Fraba, right? Yeah, woos ha. Serenity now. No, thank you. I'm fine. Totally fine. Totally fine. Ross is here. Water the tree. Our buddy Sixar in the box. Dragon Sage is here, as well as Baja and Bradley Johnson. KJ's here. Pat's here as well. Good to see you, bud. Channel 53. Tommy Rogers, hello. Good to see all of you. Thank you, Hippie. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, the Sex Witch. I couldn't quite get I got one song to do a video for the Sex Witch left to do, and I've got the whole album done. Got her done, bud. But I couldn't quite twist it to fit a New York City elevated train narrative. So we'll revisit next weekend or something. Uba Khan is here. Good to see you, bud. Hello, hello, hello. Here he is, our buddy Scott Pike. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Appreciate it. Thanks for winding down your weekend with yours truly here on the Sunday Funday Show. Woo! Woo! Again, blessings and well wishes to all of you that are dealing with the strife of the crazy weather and the fire and the smoke and examination portion. Yeah, that's the last song is The World Right. New York City trains and old Buck Rogers footage. You know what? I was thinking some kind of old-timey science fiction footage. I think I've got some on a file. I'll have to double check. But that's funny. I was kind of thinking, my camera's off and I'm still putting my hand in front of it as if it's good habits die hard, I guess. Anyway. Good hogging all the fun up there, eh? Oh, well, you know how we like to do her up here, bud.
You know what I mean? All right, we're having a good time.
That's how we like to do her. But yeah, exactly. Old-timey science fiction footage. I actually think I also have some really old footage from the Gemini and Mercury, or Gemini and Mercury, as they're also known as, the old quote unquote space program footage, like stuff from the 50s when they were like launching stuff and it would like crash and stuff. And they're like, whew, it's a good thing there wasn't a guy on that one. Yikes, in the early stages when they were just screwing up left, right, and center. I mean, that's always good for a laugh, but I mean, it's no different than today with NASA footage. Also, always still good for a laugh. Speaking of a good time, what do you say we get into the file here? A couple of dozen photos to share with you. In terms of the year that these were taken and the location, I've got all of that. But when I was putting all the information into the file, everything ended up being sorted alphabetically. So we're going to be jumping around as to the year for the most part, but it's going to say either Bronx or New York or Manhattan as the first few letters here, or the first few words, right? So it's going to alphabetize by location rather than, I normally alphabetize by year, but here we go. I'm here just dancing, says Chassis Nix. Aren't you down in Mississippi? I think you're down in Mississippi, aren't you, Chassis? Down there, you just got no other reason but to dance. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you just be dancing? And again, no shade to my New York friends there from a Canadian. Actually got a pretty good connection with New York. As a kid, went there a lot. Family trips and camping trips. My Nana and Pappy, they had a vacation home in Willsboro, New York. So I went there a few times as a kid and also later as a teenager. My parents went to New York City for their honeymoon. They could have gone anywhere. They could have gone to the UK. They could have gone to Hawaii. They could have gone to Mexico. Nope. They decided to go to the Big Apple. So, yeah. And no shade to my friends in Chi-Town or in Illinois in general. Are we still here? Yeah, I think we're still here. Love them Chicago blues. You know that. The Chicago electric blues, the birthplace of the electric blues, really. And of course, Wisconsin has that good cheese, I guess. So there we are. All right. So this Bronx L from Bronx, in the Bronx, 1905. This is the 180th Street Yards between 3rd Avenue and Monterey Avenue. Again, addresses don't mean much to a Canadian kid like me, but so this is where they stored the actual passenger streetcar trolley cars there. The tram cars. And this big ass wall, I guess. But you want to, it's some stones there or something. It's interesting. How much you want to guess it's all hollow, or there's a big void under here. Like there's big steel beams or iron beams, and then there's space under this, I bet you. I mean, it's all super inclined. Have a nice building for a trolley system maintenance building. Pets in the Appalachians. Ah, yeah, that's right. And Kathy's in Louisville, the Bluegrass State there in Kentucky. A couple of Kentuckians. Kentuckistan, is that what you said? Well, that's up here, and that's here in Canada. Suburban railway bridge construction seen from the rail yards on the Bronx side, 1883 or 1884. So supposedly they're building a rail bridge here over, I don't know what river that is. I don't know if it's the Hudson River or if it's what's the other one? I can't remember the other one right now. Sorry. The spires in the background and stuff. Look at this behemoth building in the background. What is that place? It's construction, but there's one guy and 1, 2, 3, 4 hoists to build a bridge across a river, a bridge that's strong enough to support trains. All right. Brooklyn Rapid Transit car from 1940. Oh, so yeah, long into the steel age. You can see the tech they're talking about with the brakes and stuff, and probably even the suspension. Although the old wooden ones were not as rickety as you would think. And the seats on them were like sort of a woven wicker, but stuffed with something. I don't know, horsehair or cotton batting, or I don't know. But they were padded, upholstered seats, at least in the one at Heritage Park that I rode on. Rapid transit car, again, 1940. This is an interior. Look at this. They got the countertops, storage. It's kind of strange. There's no place to sit. I wonder if this has got a specific purpose. I wonder if this is sort of an employee's car or something, maybe. It's like cupboards and cabinetry in here. Strange. Look at the lights, too. Pretty archaic for 1940. It's obviously an older model that they just later on came in and wired the electric in after the fact, I'm thinking. That's how it looks to me. Yeah, could be a mail car. There you go. Could be a mail car. This is a tool car, obviously. What's this doohickey? Some kind of press or something. Neat. It has chains and stuff. Rope. Yeah, that's cool. This is the Brooklyn to Manhattan Transit, BMT, at Chauncey Street, 1940. Look at how many lines are on this L. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Late 1940, they're still using these? Why they're not using the electric diesel at this point? Those have been around since the late 30s. But I guess this is just, if it's roughly 1940, it's, just around WW2's kicking off. So the war effort and supplying the Allies with, essentials for armaments and whatnot's already well underway. So they weren't even making new trains probably at this point. At least that's my guess. Brooklyn, Manhattan, East, New York Yard. The New York Yard. Not Yad, because that's Boston. 1940. Again, look how many tracks you've got. And this is just the yard. It's not even the rail. Barns. The barns would be huge. All right, let's get into some old-timey photos here. Constructing the 9th Avenue L at West 65th Street, 1878. So they get this big steel or iron girder. They're lifting it with a hoist. Oh, no, there you go. It's got a big flywheel. Okay, so here they've got an engine, some kind of motor attached to this hoist. I was going to say, if this guy's hand cranking this, I'm calling bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And then who are all these slack-jawed jackasses just standing around watching? I guess it's typical on the job site, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say 10 guys working and twice as many guys gawking. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Bukan, with always with the guys just standing around. Yep. Pat says lots of train yards here because of the coal. Oh, yeah, that would make sense, actually. Yeah, absolutely. At one time, the train yards in Winnipeg were the largest in North America. And I know before that, it was somewhere in the US, but I can't remember where. Brian says Chattanooga, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia. These are heavy train yard cities. Yeah, I can imagine, actually. Yeah, Tennessee would be a big hub state, wouldn't it? What do we got here? Elbridge supports in the Harlem River. Oh, there we go. Just east of 2nd Avenue, 1883 or 1884. These are already just done and waiting, are they? Just waiting for the platforms to go across. Is that what they're telling us? Why do they look like they've already been sitting there for a really long time? I wonder how tough this would have been in the 1880s to do. You know? Elevated railroad tracks over Greenwich Street, Manhattan. Somewhere around 1868, 1869, looking southwest. Another thing you're going to notice in these photos, aside from all the debris, just for whatever reason ever, and it's not like road apples, right? This ain't horse poop here. It's just debris, right? Or just these bricks. Like, Ross, is this your collection sitting here? You forgot your collection up in New York, bud. Shouldn't this be in your living room in Kansas City? You know what I mean? But not only that, there's like kids. Almost all of these street view photos, there's like kids just in the street, just standing there. This kid's hawking apples or something. Or what are the oranges for? I don't know. What's going on here? Charles B. Howell job printer. Okay. P. Clark boots and shoes. Fantastic. Like they got the L done already up here. Meanwhile, you get all this sophistication of technology. You've got a tram or trolley line here, but meanwhile, your streets just, I don't know. I thought this was only in Germany. No, a lot of cities in the US have an L. Chicago has an L. New York has an L. Who else has an L? Does Detroit have an L? I don't know if Detroit has an L. St. Louis, maybe. I think there's maybe around half a dozen that have an elevated. But the thing is, the German one is the one where the train hangs underneath. The train is suspended underneath here, which is way cooler. Horse-drawn trolley. There we go. Horse-drawn trolley cars outside the old Grand Central Terminal, 42nd Street, somewhere around 1896. So there's your handsome cab, your taxi. Here's your horse-drawn trolley, and another one back here. And then there's a regular buggy. There's another horse-drawn. Ridiculous.
Shenanigans.
This building, by the way. The Grand Central, the old Grand Central Terminal. I'm guessing it's gone now. Beautiful. Meanwhile, what's going on over here? Got this. Got all this. What's this? Thought you wouldn't notice, eh? Yeah, we noticed. We notice, don't we? Yeah.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Oh, this is a cool shot. Long Island Railroad locomotive, 1940. Again, dates are all over the place because it's alphabetized, so it is what it is. So you get your porter, your ticket agent. It's probably your fireman and your engineer. This guy gets the train going like half an hour to 45 minutes before this guy even shows up to pull the levers to drive it. This guy gets the water going under the boiler and all that stuff. Yeah, no, no badger holes there. That's right. No badger holes here at all. Doing just totally fine. Actually, in this photo, these streets look like brick or cobblestone. Yeah, definitely. So I guess because it's front of the Grand Central Terminal, they can't have the shitty streets. I reckon. All right, this is very interesting. This is the Manhattan Chatham Square excavation, 1904. So they're starting to build the subway at this point. You can see the L here, and you can see a separate line here. I thought this was really interesting. You can see where they've got everything, kind of suspended and held up while they're monkeying around down here. But get a bunch of bricks or stones here and over here too, potentially. Just trying to see if I can see anything that maybe we weren't supposed to be seeing. If you see what I'm saying. Maybe. And the wooden spokes. Probably built on site. You know what I mean? Like you don't go to the hardware store and buy yourself a wheelbarrow at this point. Just build one. Here's another one. June 20th, 1904, still Chatham Square excavation looking west. So you have brick. You've got brick that I'm guessing is the footing for this. But between the brick and the bottom of this, you just got a bunch of crap. So how is this the footing for this? If there's, let's say, roughly a foot of aggregate here, like rocks and dirt and crap. Like, I'm not sure what's happening here. You know what I'm saying?
That doesn't make sense.
See that, right? Or am I just cuckoo? Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. This look like the bricks for the street here, maybe. I don't know. It's just interesting looking at the meat and potatoes underneath. New York Rapid Transit, the Sands Street Station, Brooklyn, 1937 is when this photo was taken. Pretty clear photo, pretty nice for, the Great Depression. This building is a behemoth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floors. Maybe this is probably all just open, actually. Oh, I see. It's signal light for the trains. Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's a weird looking fixture, but that's what that is. 9th Avenue L, Manhattan. What year is this? Let's see here. 1898. This photo is from 1898. So here are the wooden passenger tram or trolley cars. Here's your gangway. Here's a building. Like, could you imagine you live here and then they just decide we're going to put an elevated track like 4 feet from your bedroom window there, bud? You cool with that? No. No, I'm not cool with that, son. Get that friggin' thing out of here. 9th Avenue L, Manhattan, 6th Street, 1876 or 77. What is this back here? Like, yeah, let's pose with our cute little, steam-powered choo-choo to pull our wooden cars. Like, that's cool and everything on our elevated line. But what is going on with this mud flood arch door? And all these blocks and boulders just stacked. Like, what in the Sam Steel's going on in the back here? Yeah, you didn't think to put that in the title of what you labeled this? Because I just copied and pasted how these photos were labeled. Yeah, can you imagine? Channel 53, they had to be loud AF, loud as frick, loud as fudge. Clickety clack. I mean, I live close to the train tracks here, but when I say close, I'm 100 yards, not 100 inches. You know what I mean? Come on, man. But this. I was just like, I don't. If you're watching this after the live, comment, please. Comment your comment in the comments if you know what this is. This is 9th Avenue L at 6th Street. I'm willing to bet you dollars to Good Canadian Donuts that's not there anymore. That's right. What in the Sam Steel? This is 9th Avenue L in Manhattan at the Battery. So Whitehall Street Station. No date on it, fortunately. Let's see if we can figure it out from what people are wearing. Pre-WW1, judging by this guy's hat. These might still be wooden cars, maybe. They still get these funny little rinky-dink. So yeah, I'm going to say circa 1910-ish. Don't quote me on that. These stairs that go up. That's the other thing, too, is it's not just the L. So the stations were elevated, and so you had to get up to everything. Ninth Avenue L, Manhattan, from West 73rd Street. Horse and cart times, so pretty safe to say 1910. There's just a lower entry down or point of entry down in here somewhere. They had to put this here so dumbasses don't fall down and break their necks. How beautiful. Not to mention all of this. The L's barely in the picture. But it's still, I mean, you're still what? Not even across the street from this building. I would hate to live in these upper 3 floors, especially facing that track. That would just really suck, man. That would really, really suck. This photo's from 1891. It's the 9th Avenue L looking south from Greenwich Street. So these, by the way, used to pull the trams or the trolleys, the streetcars. They went from horses, apparently, to these, to then later electric. And these were retired and probably scrapped. But this is 1891. And again, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 4 lines here in 1891. 4 elevated lines. Let's get a load of all these buildings in the background. Every little window gets a nice little bit of detail. You know, they could have just done this cookie cutter crappy, but nope. Gonna stack all the brick and do keystones and everything. Lovely. There's the thumbnail. Look at this guy just standing here for whatever reason. Mind your business, buddy. Move along. New York, you know, guys get an ass whooping for staring down the cameraman in New York. There, son. Hey, what you looking at over here, huh? You got a freaking problem over here, Mook? Huh, you freaking mutt, huh? Come over there and slap the bricks off you. 1891, 9th Avenue, West 100th Street. See, again, there's random kids just standing in the street. Well, not in the street, but just hanging out. And now this is winter. Why are you kids hanging out just... Is this your daddy? What's going on here? Pilsner beer. Beauty. Accorded plating, pinking, and buttonholes. Okay. Agency for all kinds of sewing machines. What do you know? Does this say Troy Laundry? Troy Laundry. Very interesting. Looks colder than a witch's elbow. I'm not going to lie. Boo, this looks chilly too. Even as a Canadian looking at this, this looks chilly. 1876. It's May. Looks like it's still snow. Maybe not. Maybe it's just the exposure. It looks frosty and snowy, but maybe not. Look, they've got... Is this ready for another... Huh. New York Elevated Railroad Station. Nice. Yeah, I think these are, Ryan, I think these are, they're going to be putting in a, because eventually we do see that there's, because this is only a single line, right? And eventually we do see that there are 2. And then further on down the line, once that merges happen and expansions and extensions, that ends up being 4 lines. So this looks like the supports for what's going to be a second line running on this side. I don't know for sure, but that's what it looks like. Because, yeah, it looks like it's being built here, and it's going to come across here. You know what I mean? Northeast corner of West 95th Street, 1891. What's going on here? H. Zeltner's Extra Doppelbier. Beer? That's how you spelled beer in 1891? Okay. Maybe that's the German way? Is that the German way to spell beer? Look, it's all just horse and buggies, but then you have all this sophistication and you have these big, massive buildings. The streets are still just crap. Wooden barrels and stuff for your tea. This is from the north side, or north from the west side, looking north from the west side. 1894. What's going on here? H. Weiss and Company, Anchor brand shirts, collars, and cuffs. See, there you go. Sold separately. shirts, collars, and cuffs. Men's shirts didn't have a collar. It was a separate piece, and then your cuffs were separate. That's why you had to have cuff links. What's going on over here? Servants, that's really 1894 in New York. I think they mean servants for the hotel or something. I don't know. Printing and signs. Oh yeah, we know you're printing signs by then. There's crappy signs everywhere by this point. Ninth Avenue. So this whole street is 9th Avenue, I'm guessing. The 9th Avenue L in Manhattan on Greenwich Street at Cortlandt. So this is a station. Look at this. How fancy this nonsense is. Even this is fancy. Go up on the platform, up again. We just got one of those arc lights, excuse me. Evening World. So you would just post notices here, I guess. Oh no, that's a magazine stand or a newspaper stand that's closed down for the day. Huh. Again, Manhattan L station. Undated. Great. So they don't know where or when this was taken, but they know enough to tell you that it's the Manhattan. It's definitely, oh no, it's definitely a Manhattan L station. You got Nabisco here. But I mean, they have Nabisco in UK too, and Canada. Mind you, Canada doesn't have an L. It's not that I know of. Well, they do now, like modern L's, like Vancouver SkyTrain, so on. But what's this? Something stockings? Elastic stockings? It's a bit of damage on this, obviously, but see, everybody's wearing all different colors, different styles. It's not everybody's wearing the same clothes like it's a uniform. What is kind of filthy street vending BS is this guy serving up? Yikes, buddy. West 50th Street Station, 1913. Look at this. Look at all this. Royal baking powder. Okay. Royal baking powder. It's quite the advertising there, buddy. Post no bills. I think this is Under the Stairs. Maybe another magazine stand or something, or newspaper stand. 1888. View looking north from between 42nd and 43rd Streets. At this point, this is the Manhattan, so it's pretty built up already, I guess. Pretty incredible, you know. Plus, you know me, I just love old trains anyways. December 4th, 1889, north from 6th Avenue at 32nd Street. So this is what they put at the end of the platform. It's the spiral with some kind of, I don't know, iron cross design in there. And then whatever this is, a weirdo face or something. And you stand here and wait for your train to pull up. What is going on up here on this one, bud? What is that? on this train station. Not to mention all the details. Wow, There's all this up here too. This building. Something going on there, maybe. 1889. So yes, just all horse and buggy still. That's it. That is it. Bakery. Where you can get your cigars and tobacco at the bakery. Great. Sounds good. No date on this one, unfortunately, but south on Church Street from Barclay Street. See if we can see. We're still delivering stuff on wagons here, so say 1880s, 1890s, maybe. Hectograph Manufacturing Company? What? Warwick Frere Olive Oils and Essential Oils. Warwick Brothers. But it's in French? Weird. It's a perfumery. Oh my. It's a perfumery with the French name in New York. Wow. Excuse me.
Ooh la 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 la.
Look at this. West Broadway at Lispenard Street? I don't know these streets. General Express office. What's that? Huh. This poor mule. I think they're mules. You know, all of this level of sophistication, which I think was built by us, but it was as a result of reverse engineering. Pardon my French, but you know. Train kept a rolling, Dale Hawkins. I got that on a 78 RPM record. West Broadway, north of Broome Street. Assorted jujubes. Look at that. Delicious. What's the brand name? Can't tell. What we got here? Cordial. Oh, my. Benedictine. Is that what that says? Yeah, Benedictine. The best cordial. You don't say. Curry and Rosenberg. Oy vey. Cornices, skylights, roofing, tin and sheet iron, or tin and sheet iron workers, excuse me, heating and ventilating. So these are guys that are going around and taking out all the old tech and screwing everything up and just replacing it with all the modern crap. Try to sell you a ventilation system instead of just leaving the old world air exchange system in there. I'll tell you, I'm not a big fan of the signs painted on the buildings, but it's an interesting peek when you can get close enough to them to kind of read them, right? It's this Manhattan Elevated Railroad, 6th, 9th Avenue line. Well, 6th Avenue and 9th Avenue line. 110th Street Station, looking northeast from Manhattan Avenue. Wait a second. Is this going? Oh, I thought it was going into this building for a second, but it goes around the outside of this building. Look how close it gets. It gets so close to this building that I thought it turned and went into the building. I would not want to live there at all. This is the station right here, I guess. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right here. Oh, the whole thing's a station. I thought that was a train. That's crazy. There's another shot of it. So maybe this building is part of the... No, I think what happened is this building was here, and they built the L to go around it, but then when they put a station in here at this curve, they attached it to this building. I bet you this used to be an old dirigible mooring tower or something, and that's why they kept a transportation-related narrative associated with this building. Again, I'm just speculating. I don't know, but get the "You Need a Biscuit." That's such a clever name. Who needs a biscuit? You need a biscuit, buddy. And then, yeah, there's Seal, right? Yeah, Ryan noticed that there with the techie logo. Yeah. June 17th, 1903. Look at this. This is just your train station building? No, this is the train station. This is the top of that building we were just looking at. This here. Look at this nonsense. This too, though, you know? It's a lot of work just to stand in there in the winter, wait for your train. Maybe that's where you buy your ticket. I don't know. What's this? Firebox, maybe, or something? The hell is this? This is another great shot. I think this I shared this one yesterday. Look at this thing. That's just awesome. Absolutely awesome. These little mini locomotives that they had to pull these things, you know. It's pretty cool. So these people had to reverse engineer this stuff to figure out how to build and maintain and expand upon what they had discovered or rediscovered, I think. I agree, Hippie. Hippie Shake in the box says these trains are really high up. Yeah. Like, I don't know, 50 feet? Like 30 meters? This in the background. No idea what that is. Streetcars on Columbus Circle, 1900. Here it looks like they've finally done away with the horse. Look at this. Columbus Circle, so I'm guessing this is Christophe Colomb. Kind of big fountain thing. Is it a fountain? No, maybe. It probably used to be a fountain. And then they just put this in here. They plugged the fountain basically with this nonsense. Yeah, looks like we're full on electric here by now, I think. Yep. Sure. But look at how wide everything is. Almost like it was pre-planned ahead of time. Somebody was clairvoyant when they were planning out and building all of this. That someday we're going to have vehicles and trolleys and trams whipping through here. We better make it nice and wide there, bud, ahead of time, just in case. What's going on here? What's that all about? I don't know. Sixth Avenue on Broadway. between 34th and 35th Street, somewhere around 1900 to 1905. You got one of those really old jalopies. It's not even really an automobile. These were made by bicycle companies. It's kind of the precursor to the car. It's the proto car. So that's kind of neat. Don't see those very often in motion and blurred in a photo. Yeah, see, here's a fountain. Some public water. Of course, it's got to come out of a lion's head, an African lion's head. Even though here in America, in North America, we have our own lions, you know, cougars, mountain lions, puma, whatever you want to call them. Look, this thing's in motion. You can see it's blurred. You can see the smoke billowing. A little steam engine. And then look at this in the background. Excuse me? Engels Hotel? Engel apostrophe S? Engels Hotel? The sort of pinwheel effect in these arched windows. And then whatever's going on up here. This and all of this Phoenician shell looking stuff. And they got all these weirdo text sticking out of everything back here, little balls on them. Little bijou balconies with this. Look at this. It's great. Yeah, we just come along and we paint. Confectionery. Established in 1856. Great. Whatever. Mansard style roof up here. Some of these look really old, man. Like this looks really old and weathered. You know what I mean? I mean, we shouldn't be at the point yet where things are crummy and crappy. Everything looks pretty good. You know, brick-lined streets. You got little trees with the little fences around them to protect them. You got fountains with public water. And you got this cool L here. You got all these lovely buildings. You know, shit shouldn't be worn down yet. I mean, I know New York's pretty old already at this point. You know, it used to be old New Amsterdam or whatever. But, you know, the Dutch colonialists didn't build these, I reckon. Everybody's starting to... Nine. So you got what looks like could be brick or cobblestone streets, but really mucky and crappy. You got a couple of ne'er-do-well hooligan kids just hanging out. Broadway, something Hudson's Railroad. There's a taxi service or an omnibus. That's actually an omnibus service run by the railroad. A big pile of debris. Always piles of debris and kids just hanging out. Let's check this thing out. Greenwich and 9th Avenue. Greenwich Street and 9th Avenue. West Side Elevated. Patented Railroad Company. And this is trolley number 1. Or car number 1. What is this? Looks like a door from your uncle's house just slapped onto the side of this thing. Come on. Come on, man. I'm just noticing that. Why do you have 3-hinge door handle with strike plate style wooden threshold doors on your freaking clickety-clack, buddy? What is going on here? That doesn't even make any sense to me. I mean, is this really? I don't know.
I think I can smell shite. Yes, I can definitely smell shite.
Just saying, it looks funny. Just looks funny. Looks like they were, whatever building this is the remains of, that's where these doors came from. You know, they knocked down some building or something and say, I could use those doors on my train, buddy. Mind you, the level of tech on this thing looks to be pretty good. So why do you have to have these hardware store doors on it? Am I crazy? I don't know. Third Avenue L, Manhattan. The L is just out of frame, basically, but I downloaded the photo anyways, so we could see these doors down here way below sidewalk level. And then there's more down. They've repaired this, but another entrance here going underneath these stairs. There's businesses all down here, so you got to go down some steps to go to this level. It's that flower design we see everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Here in Alberta, they just say, oh, it's here because it's the Alberta wild rose. That's our provincial flower up in Alberta, up in Canada land, buddy. That's why you see that. It's like, all right, well, this is Manhattan, New York. So is it still an Alberta wild rose? Probably not, right? 1890, 3rd Avenue L, Manhattan, 26th Street. See what we got going on here. So you got all these shops, and they've got all these points of entry that go down here, or you walk straight in here. Walk straight in or go down. Walk straight in, go down. You see what I'm saying? All along here. This fancy nonsense up here too. It's nice. Look at this. Meanwhile, look at the Buster. Will you get your broke ass, rickety ass cart out of the road before I give you a ticket? We got this level of tech here now. Why you got this rickety looking thing? This toothpick bloody. Come on now. What's going on here? More servants. My. You can get some dress suits, some formal wear. Nice. Business attire. Coming close to the end of the file here. 3rd Avenue, 99th Street Station. Far down. This is the street down here. And this goes all the way up. There's a platform here, and it goes up, and there's an. This is an L on top of an L now at this point. Oh, Yieldy Ladderline. Oh, twins. Nice. It's a twofer. A twofer on the Yieldy Ladderline. Look at all this loveliness back here, too. Incredible, man. Like, yeah, this is cool and interesting, but a lot of times I like to grab these photos because of what's going on back here. You know what I mean? Yeah, the double L. The Lula. It's a Lula. LL. LL, no. Oh, that's Kal-El, sorry. Undated, but probably this exact same time period as this photo, I reckon. 1890s. Look at this. Really? Really? Okay. It's fine. Yeah, sure. Totally fine. Not a care in the world. Nothing to see here, I guess. It's totally normal. You guys aren't sketchy at all. 3rd Avenue L in Manhattan. An unidentified station. But again, they know the year. For sure, we know the year, 1895. Who these dudes are and what station this is, don't know. Really, you can't tell by the station which one it is? Because they were not all cookie cutter stations that all looked the same. Each one was unique and different in certain ways. Can't go back into your archives and look. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. I don't know. I'm not a New Yorker. I'm not from New York. Something cry, pictures, Storia. Something only costs 1 cent. Oh, the Daily News, 1 cent. That's a deal. Advertising a bicycle here. Guessing these are employees. There's your boss. That's the big shot. It's a big show. That's him. Oh. There you go. The master of the second veil. The Freemasons. That's one of their symbols right there. Cousin Vinny's here. Unfreemasons in the box. Steve's here as well. Hi, Steve Q. Good to see you. Yep, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Maurizio Manini. Buonasera, come stai? 35 cents for the best tobacco. I'll take 2. Yeah, no kidding, right? Could you imagine? Oof, that is a deal. Yeah, I mean, these guys at least look like they earn their living. Coveralls are all soiled or stained. This guy's trying to rock the pocket watch, being fancy with his fancy bowler hat. But yeah, these guys here, this guy's not doing nothing. Now there's this clown. He's connected. This guy too. Your shoes are too shiny, bub. You ain't doing nothing. Look at this. Chatham Square, 1878. This is the Manhattan L, the 3rd Avenue. First of all, look at how complicated and crazy this is. As these 3 lines all intersect. This one, no, 4 lines, because this one splits into 2 here. Crazy. Congress Hall, Chatham Square Hotel, Portrait Gallery. Look at, they just paint these crappy signage right on the front of these beautiful old buildings. Bunch of a-holes. I mean, these are bad enough, but at least it's not painted right on the bloody building. 1878. This level of sophistication. Look at the train station. Not to mention all this. Massive, massive structures. 1870s. I agree, Ross. Ross from Water the Tree. Wow. Yeah. Jesse Nix. Jesse Nix says, that looks safe. Eye roll emoji. Yeah. Yeah, man. I hear you, Jesse. This is the City Hall Station, 1884. First of all, don't know what this is. Maybe a lamppost or something. So at first I thought, why is there brick down in here? But then I realized, oh, this is a L on top of an L, right? See, this person's coming up some stairs to an elevated platform here, and then it's another L. So this is your cobblestone street or your brick street here. But this goes down, and then this comes up. You know what I'm saying? It's hard, kind of hard to explain, but anyway. How fancy this is. A little bit of damage on the print, unfortunately, but look at all this in here. There's that flower again. 4 petals, it seems, generally, right? At least from what I found. Big iron pillars here, or steel, or whatever. Look at this newel post. Not sure what this person's got going on here, but could be a vendor of some sort. Just notice this up here too. This wrought iron or what have you. Amazing. All the detail, you know, even just for, you know, infrastructure and public works stuff. And you've got the sort of mansard style dome with columns and then all of this stuff. Yeah, that's super easy to do. 1879 is this photo, so I don't know what building this is and when it was built. But whew, come on, man. Not to mention this behemoth back here. No idea what that is. The old hippodrome? I don't know. 1895 to 1900-ish. 3rd Avenue L, Manhattan. East 99th Street. So now these are actually coming out of this building. But it's elevated, so it's an L. So there might even be a street level that goes into the building, and the L goes into the building. That's crazy. Big, huge, I don't know what, like a Phoenician shell or a leaf here, and then on this corner, this corner. But yeah, this just blows my mind. Not that I think that they were incapable. I think this building was already here, and when they had reverse engineered and figured out how to do all this and were expanding and starting to put in these elevated tracks, I think they just repurposed this building and made it into, I don't know, barns or a station or something. You can see here all the tracks crisscrossing as it splits off in so many different directions. Right next, imagine the click clackety clickety clackety, the ta-tunk 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 as it goes over all of these junctions, and you live right there. Imagine living right there. Again, I love trains, but I would go bonkers, bub. Again, another unidentified L station. I don't know how that can be. Especially this is like in 1909. It's not like it's the 1860s. This guy looks like he's working. This guy, maybe. Just a little bit of getting a little fancy with your bow tie on the job site there, aren't you, Chester? I don't know what's going on here. What they're building, uncovering, working on. Don't know. Just know there's a lot of crap and debris around everywhere. Look out. Look out for the cars. Railroad crossing. Look out, man. View of 6th Avenue L train looking north from West 8th Street in 1885. Again, just in the horse and buggy times here. If you're local and you know what this is, comment below. I have no idea. No idea. Getting close to the end here, folks. Thanks for sticking with me. This is a castle is what this is. And the details on it. Again, thanks for your patience with the technical difficulties. Although I think doing all right now, except for I bumped my camera. I bumped it. Bumped the darn thing. It's fine. This is actually the last photo. Excelsior Restaurant. Soul Sales, Sayles? Don't know. No idea. But what do you know? That is the end of the file. The end of the file. Again, the dates were all over the map because it was alphabetical, but man, this is a pretty good one to end on. Because not only did we got all kinds of different masonry used, different materials to build this thing, but they've built in all kinds of patterns in it as well. So it's all these little conical domes and stuff. It's crazy, man. Crazy. All right, there you go. Went a little over time. Again, thank you very much for your patience with the tech issues. Seems like it's coming and going, and it's in a kind of we're in the pocket right now. We're in the zone. So with that, we'll quit while we're ahead here. Again, as a reminder, coming up, got a few different projects. The director's cut of Reset 1700 coming in the next few weeks, as well as a couple of other projects that I've had suggested to me, stuff that's been sent my way that I'm working on that are going to be sort of long-form exploration videos. Not necessarily boots on the ground, although you're still going to get those on Fridays, but stuff that's maybe not quite enough there for a live stream, but more than enough to accommodate, a longer format video, 20 minutes to half an hour or so. So I've got a few of those in the works, just finishing up the final touches actually on 2 of them right now. So look for those to come in the following weeks ahead as well. So, in order to do that, do all the things so you get the notification, hit that bell. That doesn't work, so you won't know anyway. Also, again, a reminder, links below for everything we've covered. The Wikipedia and the Photo Archives website, as well as the New York Transit Authority website and all that stuff. My location map is down there as well, courtesy of Cousin Vinny. You click on that link and it takes you to the Google app thingy for my everywhere I've done boots on the ground all these past 5 years here in southern Alberta, going all the way up to Edmonton, actually. And as well, again, as a reminder, BitChute, guys' emails down there, Instagram, and of course, Rumble. Whenever I'm live on YouTube, I'm always live on Rumble as well. If you have any show ideas or any suggestions, please do not hesitate. Don't be shy. Let me know. Shoot a guy an email, or you can reach out on Insta. Don't forget the link below for my new second channel as well, New West Rewind, where you get all the old-timey vintage footage videos like we got on the break here, or the little trailer before I went live here. You get all those on that channel every Saturday. So with that, I think that is going to do it. That is going to seal the deal here today for Frankie, New West Reset, and New West Reset Live, episode 180, Trains in the Sky, where we looked at the New York elevated rail system from the DCMNY collection, 1868 to 1940. Again, be careful out there. Take care out there. All my best, all my prayers and thoughts are with those of you that are having to run for your lives. Please, please be careful. Look after your neighbor. Until the next one, take care out there and have yourselves a good one. All right? Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.